Okay, so welcome to day 7 of running through the daily solutions to SumWord. For those of you who haven't seen these puzzles before, this is a standard crossword, so we need words in going across and down that make sense, but we also have point values associated with each of the letters, and the goal is to fill in the crossword so that it makes sense linguistically, but also so that the sum of the played numbers adds up to the target that we have in each row and column. To close out this first week is, for my money, about as hard as these puzzles get, but it is still solvable, I think. So, as always, the link to play is in the description below. Have a go before watching the rest of this video if you haven't already. So, I'm going to take my normal sort of approach, which is look at where we know certain values that must go there. So, for example, this second row we have 4 tiles and they add up to 4, which can only work if they are all 1-point tiles. So I'm going to just, using the sketching mode, fill in the 1 points here. Now, at first glance, it looks like that could be all that we get and that we're a little bit stuck. But actually, if you look at this, something else that is quite useful sometimes is to look at where the 2-point letters can go. So, for example, here where we've got 3 tiles and it adds up to 4, we know that that can only be done if we have 2 1s and a 2 somehow. And similarly, for this third column, we've got 5 tiles and a 6, which can only work if we have a 2 somewhere. So let's fill this in with 1s and 2s. And we can do the same for the third column if we need to. But actually what I'm going to do instead of that is look at this fourth column and see that the same thing is happening. We've got 4 tiles that need to add up to 5, so we need all 1s and 2s. So we know that we need a 2-point tile somewhere in the third column, somewhere in the fourth column. And this one that's in the third column needs to go in the fourth row so that we can fulfill that counter that we've seen. So if I just drag these 2s out to here, that's going to take them away from our sketching. But because we know any tile that's a 2 is a D, we can also fill that in immediately. And I'll just quickly put in the fact that we know that these tiles, or these spaces rather, need to be either a 2 or a 1. So as well as looking at where low point tiles can go, looking at where the high point value tiles have to go is also really useful. And the highest point values that we have here are the Ks, our 5-point tiles, and you can see if we go back to the rack, then we have 2 of them, one down here and one here. So where can these go? Obviously a lot of the rows and columns you can knock out, because if we put a 5 in them, say this 4th row, if we put a 5 in there, we're going to overshoot, and there's lots of other rows and columns that are like that. So the only options really are this 5th column on the right hand side, or the first column on the left. But if we put a 5 in the first column, then we've got 4 tiles that need to add up to 5. So we would need another 2-point tile, and we don't have that. So actually, both of these Ks need to go in this final column, and they can't go in this middle row because we would overshoot that value. So we know where those Ks are, and we know that that needs to be a 1 there. Now we've got 5 out of 8 on the bottom row, so we can fill the rest of these in with 1s, and we now know that this tile can't be a 2, because then this row with 3 1s, 5 plus 3 1s, we add up to 8. At this point we can look at other combinations for the other columns where we're starting to get information. So I think that at this point the most useful one is to look at the second column. So we've got 7 points, 2 tiles left, because we know already that the second row and the fourth row need to be 1s. So what can be left here? Well, we've already used our 2s, as we've said. So to get to a sum of 5, the only way that we can do that is a 4 and a 1. So we can put those in as options there and there. At this point, sticking just with the numbers, there are still too many possibilities to really be able to narrow it down. So we need to bring in a little bit of our sort of knowledge of the English language and think, well, we've got 2 possible places for this other D tile to go. This D could go here, or it could go up here. I don't know about you, but I don't know any words that end DK. So we'll place it there, because otherwise we won't be able to make a word here. That then means that that has to be a 1 point tile here. And now we can run through the rest of the possibilities. So we've got a 2 here, and this row needs to add up to 8. So we actually can't put a 4 point tile in there because we would overshoot. We'd already have 6 out of the 8 points accounted for, with 3 tiles to fill in. So that means that this one up at the top has to be our 4 pointer. And again, what I haven't filled in here is that these need to be 1 pointers because the whole column only adds up to 6. And that only leaves us with 2 blank spaces where we don't know what value goes in that space. And we can just look at from what we've got in the rows, because there's only 1 blank space. Similar to Sudoku, we know what value has to go in there. So now we've got all the place values assigned. This P has to go in there because there's only 1 3 point tile. And we can put the WH there because HW starting a word we don't really see. WH we see a whole lot. What's left now is just to put these letters in, and we can shuffle them around to see if they start looking like any words. And the one where we've got the most information at the moment is this WH something K. So it looks like it could be something like whisk, but we don't have an S. So what it is, and what I believe it has to be, is whelk, which is a type of sea snail. And now we can fill in from here. This E something something D in the 3rd column, pretty certain it has to end with an E. If you try any of the other letters there, it just doesn't sound right. There are no possible words that you can make from that. So there are lots of options. We could have lid or lad, or lead for this L something D. So we'll leave that for a moment. And actually this W something P, there aren't as many options for this as you might initially think, with the letters that are here in this grid. And most of those options start WIP. So we'll put that in, and then we can see from what we've got left, shuffling around, the only thing I can really see to put in here is wiper, which then makes this end. Getting some more letters for these down words, and the only option for this middle one, which E something something DE, is actually a surprisingly rare word fragment, and has to be etude, which is a musical term. So now this 2 across, if you like, I something T something, looks like both of these letters have to be vowels in order to work with what we're going to have coming down. So with both of them having to be vowels, the only option that we have there is iota, which then leaves us with horn, prude, and elk. Tricky one today, but still very rewarding. Let me know in the comments if you like this explainer and how you got on. And as always, subscribe, let me know if these are useful, and if you want me to keep doing them.